various locations via the miracle of Skype, it's the 40th anniversary season of the LTN Hour. Let's talk NASCAR with your host, Todd Bailing, co-hosts Brian Schmidt, PJ Noodleman, and producer Dangerous Dan Margetta. Call the show anytime at 414-421-7901. And now, the creator and host of the fastest hour in radio, Todd Bailing.
Hello there, everybody. Glad you could join us from beautiful Linden Station, Wisconsin. Glad you could join us. My three partners spread out across the good old state of Wisconsin, as we usually are. Brian Schmidt up in Utzberg, Wisconsin. Hi, Brian.
Morning. The playoffs are upon us. Where did this season go? It doesn't seem like it was that long ago. Dan and I were sitting in a hotel watching it rain out our window in Daytona, and here we are. The playoffs start today.
It does. PJ Noodleman on the other coast of Wisconsin over in Trempealeau. Hi.
Hi there. Excited to cover some interesting stuff here today.
Oh, that is a fact. And, of course, producer Dan Margetta, back. You're heading for Slinger, right?
Yeah, since it's over, I'm heading for Slinger. I'm kind of on the coast. I mean, South Monkey, St. Francis is kind of on the lake.
Yeah. There we go. Coast to coast in the state of Wisconsin. Pretty good stuff. We're going to our next pack racing race. I like that term, Dan, pack racing. That's pretty much it. It used to be just Daytona, Talladega. Now it's Atlanta. And when we say pack racing, that means anybody could win one of these races, even Burton. You know, Harrison Burton could actually win one of these. Oh, wait a minute. He already did, and he's in the playoffs. And being that this is the first round before this program is over, we're going to give you our our well thought out and perfect picks of who's not going to make the cut to the second round. And also we're going to give you our championship four, which may or may not agree with what you all have thought about. Michael McDowell, I can't believe it. He never won a pole before this year. This was his fifth pole of the year at 179.261 miles per hour. We will be racing at this 1.54 mile oval. The green flag is at 2 o'clock our time. It will be televised on USA Network. It's going to make it today. It's in the 70s down there, and it's only a 10% chance of rain. So it's all good. You know, everything's looking good. But the racing at Atlanta is not what everybody is talking about this week. I mean, they dropped a bombshell, and I'm thinking, wow, did they really mean for this to hit the media? Because I have a funny feeling they didn't. This is kind of what we have put together from people whispering and other reports coming out that are not official. NASCAR finally came out, because of their negotiation with the new charter agreement, came out and said they supposedly gave the teams an ultimatum that they had to ratify this or face a risk of revocation of your charters. And they were coerced, quote, 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 coerced and threatened, according to reports. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I just can't imagine that Roger Penske liked to be threatened and coerced, or Hendrick or Gibbs or any of those major teams. But, my God, guys, can you imagine that this is where we're at right now?
They've always kind of been it's our way or the highway, haven't they? I mean, in everything they've done. So I kind of see that aspect. As far as coerced and threatened, I don't know if that was the case. And some of these guys, you'd like to see the whole agreement. You know, what's it look like? And then you know for sure if the holdouts really got something to hold out for, or are they just kind of being sticklers, you know? And sometimes I think you got to pick your battles. Maybe Penske and Hendrick and Gibbs are like, you know, this ain't worth going to war for right now. It's okay. We'll sign it.
But they all didn't say that.
No, there's one big one that didn't say that, and that's probably the big story right now. But you always I just wish you could see the whole agreement. You're not going to, because obviously it's, you know, confidential negotiations and all that stuff. But it'd be kind of nice to see what was agreed to.
And is it the same agreement for every team?
Oh, I would think.
I'm just throwing that out there. I mean, if they wanted to try to to get the bigger players to say yes. What if they gave them a little extra something? Hendrick, Penske, you know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Denny Hamlin and Michael Jordan. This is obviously what PJ is referring to, is the fact that that 2311 team did not sign the agreement as they were. They didn't. How do I say this? They didn't take the ultimatum, and they said, no, we don't like this. There's too much. We have to have a negotiating ploy to get another charter. And this is really crazy, because how we always said prices determined by supply and demand, and Trackhouse came in immediately and bought one of Stuart Haas's three available charters for Van Gisbergen next year. We know that that's done. Then, Dan, and you're the expert on this, Front Row said they are purchasing Front Row Motorsports. We are going to purchase a charter. Now, Front Row is one of the two teams that did not ratify along with the 2311 car. Why they did this, I'm not real sure. But what was rumored to be happening, and it came from Jordan Bianchi. And let me tell you, this guy at The Athletic generally is on top of things. And if he says things are happening, they pretty much are going to happen. And he said in his column that Ryan Preece has been hired by Roush freaking Keselowski Racing, and he is going to be a full-time driver there next year. Now that means, assuming that the three charters that are out there are going to Trackhouse and Front Row, there are now two teams that absolutely have to have another charter if they're going to continue. One is 2311, which we're crying about. The other is Roush Fenway, who hasn't said anything negative in the press regarding negotiations. So it comes down to Keselowski versus Hamlin. Except the X factor here, folks. You know how NASCAR bragged and beat their chest how great it was to have the greatest basketball player that ever lived to now be a NASCAR guy and to be the face, so we're going to stand him up. It's Michael Jordan and his new sport, NASCAR! Yay! And guess who is not signing the agreement, and what is this going to do to negotiations?
Well, Michael Jordan's been around the block. He's been a part of big-time sports for a long time, and not just NASCAR. And if you think about it, he's really the only owner in there that has been on the other side of it and been a part of, he's played Major League Baseball. He's been in the NBA. He knows how the big sports franchises go. So there's something in this agreement that he sees that is not right, that NASCAR has on there that the other team owners, didn't realize or aren't worried about, where Michael's going, hey, this is something that isn't right. We don't know exactly what it is, but my suspicion is there's something in there that he says this isn't right, and this is something we shouldn't be following.
And think about it, all the other, this kind of way it's always gone on NASCAR for years and years and years. And he's kind of the outsider here that says, hey, we could do something different. I mean, if he wins this deal in the end, this could fundamentally change NASCAR. It's always been kind of a dictatorship, hasn't it? From way back when. I mean, this could change things completely.
Unbelievable, what we're looking at right now. And so there's, with only one charter remaining, and Roush has already supposedly, I don't know if they floated it or Bianchi just found out that Ryan Preece is going to
been out there because of the Kroger sponsorship is kind of the key to that. Everybody thought it was going to go to Joe Gibbs. It looks like it's probably going to go to Roush Fenway now. And if it goes to Roush Fenway Keselowski now, that'll be their third car. They could get that one remaining charter from Stuart Haas. That's what they're kind of fighting over now with the Jordan group. They've got kind of Riley Herbst in the wings with maybe Monster Energy there. There's also the Rick Ware cars, the 15 and the 51. I mean, there's a chance that could maybe merge, or he's been known to lease charters out in the past. So, I mean, there's that option too, should the other one fail.
There's so many different things that could happen, and it's really crazy. Well, we're glad you tuned in today. We're going to be discussing this whole thing. There's so much to it, and that supply and demand thing, we're going to really watch and find out now between Keselowski's team and Hamlin's team, who's going to pony up more money, and will it actually exceed $40 million? Unbelievable. We'll be right back.
Fall
snow's arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Race fans, the season is winding down, so you'll want to be at the Fair Park in Plymouth for the final two events. On Saturday, September 21st, the 7th annual Jim Wildman Watson Classic. Also, the AMODs, wingless sprints, and street stocks. Increased purses in all divisions. And we'll wrap it all up on Saturday, September 28th with the Wisconsin Sprint Car Championships. Non-stop action at the Fair Park. We'll see you there.
This is Kevin Harlan from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and I will wrap up NFL Week 1 action with the Jets at the 49ers. New York awaits the return of Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, while the 49ers hope to kick off a season headed back to the Super Bowl. Join us on Monday Night Football.
Coverage starts at 7 o'clock on Milwaukee's home for the NFL. 97.3 The Game.
And the 0-1 Packers. So Darlington last week, big race. It was the final race. You had a win to get in, and that's exactly what happened. It was a surprise. I mean, not just to us on this program who think we know something and make picks. Sometimes I wonder what goes into it. Chase Briscoe did exactly what he had to do and had one hell of a race and put himself into the playoffs. Busher missed it. Bubba missed it. They said in this race that Reddick was sick. Tyler Reddick was sick. Now, there was a report. Who was it? Toby Christie. He was sick from both ends during the race. Are you kidding me?
I think that came from a radio transmission, and maybe it was just misinterpreted. I mean, he may not have, it said he was, puking and crapping himself pretty much, but he may have said, I feel like I'm,
yes.
And it was heard that it was literally, and it wasn't exactly happening, just that he was feeling that bad.
Yeah, that's what it was. I was watching it, and he came on there, and he says, I feel like I'm gonna, so they kept trying to give him medicine. First pit stop, they gave him some medicine, and he dropped it on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then he had to go run a whole other stint like that, and I think he kept everything in, from what we understand.
Wow. Well,
but that's got to be one hell of a feeling. I mean, they were talking. They were thinking about getting, because Truex wrecked on the second lap, so they're trying to figure out a way to get him over there so that he could hop in the car. But Truex and Reddick are so different sized individuals, because Reddick is so small that there's no way they could get Truex to fit in there. So they kind of told Tyler, hey, you're going to have to gut this out because we don't really have anybody to put in there.
Yeah, Truex,
and he did.
Being my
I bet he got a new seat, though.
Custom designed. Can you imagine being, and he was a sick puppy, whether he was puking and crapping or what he was doing in there. He was a sick boy. And that race average was 127 miles an hour for, how long did it take? 4 hours? I mean, think about that,
And the humidity and the heat there, I mean, that is, they say the 600 is the most grueling one. I argue that this one is even more grueling, especially this year, because the 600 only ran about half the race. But I mean, this is a grueling event in really adverse conditions.
Now, for those who didn't realize this, Tyler Reddick won the regular season championship, and of course, Denny Hamlin accused NASCAR of holding the negotiations for the charters against his team, and that's why nobody from NASCAR came over and presented the regular season trophy to Tyler Reddick. I think if the guy crapped his pants, I wouldn't have come over and given him anything either. Here, catch. But is that really what NASCAR did, Dan? I can't imagine.
I don't know if they handed out a trophy or how that worked, but there's a kind of crazy situation this year, right, Brian? Because the driver won the regular season championship, but all the points and the playoff points goes to on the owner's side. Is that correct? Because it was the owner championship went to the 5 car.
Correct. The five team is the point leader, as we move on here starting today, because if you remember back on Memorial Day weekend, Kyle Larson didn't make it to the start of the 600. And even if he would have gotten in that car, it doesn't matter. He doesn't get the points for that. Those points went to, they didn't go to anybody because Justin Allgaier isn't running for the title. So the 5 car won the owner's regular season title, which is where the points go. So that's why Kyle Larson is the point leader as we start the playoffs here.
Unbelievable.
Reddick is in 3rd.
But, it's a real cock. If you could explain, and I know it would take a half an hour, so I'm not even going to bother with it, but there's so much that goes into the seeding, and we have playoff points, and we have all this other stuff that NASCAR has somehow thought is going to make their show better and make it easily understandable for marginal fans. And did they really do that? I'm not exactly sure that they did. But either way, we start the playoffs today. 4 cars are going to be eliminated after the first round, after 3 races. We have three race eliminations, and then the 1 championship race for a total of 10 races. I thought that maybe we would give do our first round out picks right now, and we will give later in the program. We'll give our championship 4 picks. So I guess let's. Go ahead, Brian. You can start this one. Who are the first 4 drivers that aren't going to make it to the next round?
Really uses the way it's going to happen. But the way I have it out, because, other than Daytona, nothing all year. I got that out. Other than February when we were at Atlanta here, he's done nothing all year and has been very uncompetitive. I got the car of Austin Cindric. Now, they've been running a little bit better, but not to the point where I think they can advance out of it, even though he's 10th and has 7 extra points in his bucket to go forward, but I still don't think he's going to make it. And my final one is Alex Bowman. Other than that Chicago race where he kind of excused me into that win because the car was okay all day, but that was not a winning car other than the way the darkness set in and that race ended without going the full distance. He got the win there. So those are the ones I have out. If you look at the standings right now, below that you got Truex and Gibbs. They're the bottom 2 cars, and then you got Chase Briscoe with 13th in points. But those cars have been running a little bit better and more consistently week in and week out, so that's why I have those 4 out.
All right, Brian, you did cut out on much of what you were saying there, but the first 4 out, as far as Brian's just said, would be Bowman, Cindric, Burton, and Suarez. And Brian, I'm gonna agree with you on all 4 of those, that they'll be out next. Let's go to PJ next. Who you got for your 4?
I have the same 4. Burton, Bowman, Suarez, and Cindric.
All right. And Dan?
I'm close. I have 3 of the same 4. I've got Burton out, I got Suarez out, and I've got Cindric out. My other 4th card where I'm going to differ from you guys, I'm going to give some bulletin board material for those Joe Gibbs guys. I got the 19 being out. I don't know if
but his last year? Come on. I wouldn't say that's a stretch at all because he hasn't had a good year, but this is a guy, and I think we could all agree, he could rattle off 3 wins in a row.
He could. Or he could crash in the first lap like last week.
Or he could do what Riddick was rumored to have done in the race. So, yeah, there you go. All think about it because those are the ones we were thinking are going to be out. Well, we all agree on those same 3. Cindric, which you never know. He could win today. You realize that, right? I mean, they are that good here at times. Burton, we all know that's what that was all about, and Suarez. All right. Hey, we've got a guest for you next and some things to think about for next season. We'll be right back.
The National Short Track Championships are coming to Dells Raceway Park September 13th, 14th, and 15th. The weekend will play host to 11 different divisions over 3 days of racing action, kicking off Friday night at 6:30, featuring super late model twin features, plus hobby stock bandits and sixers. The Saturday card will feature the Big 8 late models, modified sportsmen, and American short trackers. Championship Sunday will feature the super late models in the Hugh Deary Classic 150, along with the 602 late models and the Mid-Am Stock Car Series. Get your advance tickets online now at DellsRacewayPark.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
As a growing manufacturing company, we needed security solutions. We chose Bonafide because of the services they offer, pricing, and trusted reputation. But it's their outstanding service and support that convinced us we made the right choice with Bonafide.
When businesses need security, they contact Bonafide Security Solutions. From locks and alarms to safes and surveillance, we do it all. We are Bonafide. We protect what you value. For your free security survey, call us today or visit bonafidesafe.com.
Love it. Embrace it. Right now.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan Patrick.
You know, it's interesting how we use preseason results, where you go, hey, Caleb Williams looked awesome. Well, you probably saw one pass to Roma Dunze. That was a wonderful pass. But if you watch the entire game, I don't think you come away going, man, he is the next Patrick Mahomes.
The Dan Patrick Show.
Dan and the Danettes and you.
Weekday mornings, 8 to 11 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
Welcome back to LTN. Our guest is Danny Eklund, who worked. First of all, Danny, thanks for being on with us so early in the morning from out in Arizona.
Thank you, Todd.
Danny was a crew guy at Roush Fenway Racing. First of all, how many years did you work over there at Roush?
I had a total of 7 years and 17 seasons total with other organizations, too. Started in 2000 and made it to 2016 with it.
Oh, all right. And it was a grind and decided to do something else with your life, which some guys do that, right?
Yes. I believe there's a time limit on everything, and my time had come. And the sports changed a lot in the way of personnel needed to support the operation and get the cars to the track or preparing them in the shop.
All right, so back in the day, back in the day, you were part of NASCAR's first trip to Mexico City with the Xfinity Series, and so you know what is all entailed. You know, it was reported, in case you missed it, folks, that NASCAR is going to have a cup race at Mexico City next year. It's going to take one of the two dates away from Richmond, one of the absolute most competitive, fantastic tracks we have, and we're going to Mexico City. And Danny has been through this before. Give us an idea of the logistics, what we're looking at to get 36 cars down to the biggest city in the Americas, really.
Well, NASCAR runs on wheels. All the stuff is trucked and transported. All the support equipment for NASCAR themselves, whether it be the technical equipment to do inspections, teardowns, haul cars back after a win to the R&D center. All the tires and wheels are mounted at Goodyear, and that's handled by a company called Champion. So all your pit equipment is loaded separately because most of our pit equipment doesn't fit in a trailer anymore. You got your transmission manufacturer just for that series going. So you're looking at a fleet of 60 to 70 vehicles to go to a cup race, crossing the border in Laredo, Texas for right around almost a 700-mile trip to Mexico City.
Pretty crazy stuff. And what is it like? I mean, we've heard that it takes an escort.
It does. So next year they're planning some different scenarios on it. But in the past, all as a group, we all met in Laredo, Texas, which is a border town, and gets you on the Pan American Highway to Mexico City. And all the trucks gather at the border, and we cross the border 10 at a time, go through Mexican customs, and of course you can have the reality of one, maybe two trucks pulled aside, inspected. Sometimes that inspection requires a complete offloading of your tractor and trailer and be inspected. Vehicles are taken over 10 at a time. There's 6 different states. They call them states there, which would be similar to states here, but at each state requires a federale police escort. They escort you from border to border, and then you're picked up at the next border and continued on. This is for safety reasons, just because that country has such different views in different states, and it's also a safety factor, I guess, so that you're not rolling down the road in the middle of the night and being pulled over by a band of bandits.
Which
the roads and the roads are completely different too. We take our highways in America very different than they do in their process of it. Very rough roads, no overhang signage saying a clearance of 14 feet. That differs. The highways themselves, you're traveling from Laredo, Texas at 700 feet elevation. Mexico City's at just over 7,000 feet high.
Oh my goodness. Think about that. That's, Mile High City, they make a big deal about Denver. That's 5,200 feet.
Yes. And that's kind of a gradual climb there. You find it as a, drawn out over a couple hundred miles. Here it's actually probably the last 6 hours of the trip to get to that elevation. And when we left, it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon. So that put us right in that area about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm talking 2-lane roads, no guardrail, no signage. They don't really enforce a drunk driving law. So you got to be on your toes. It is a major operation, just in a logistics point to get there. Some teams next year are actually looking at, we'll drop our trailer at the border and have a Mexican company come over with their tractors and their type of insurance and actually transport the trailers to Mexico City.
Insurance is a big deal, isn't it?
It is. Just as a traveler, here we have Rosarito Beach. It's 70 miles to the beach from the border of the United States. They actually have a strip there that's kind of called a neutral ground, and you purchase insurance before you cross for your vehicle, and it's a well-policed area to prevent those types of crimes. Mexico relies on tourism. They do their best to provide a good scenario for the outcome of any program that they have. But It's a treacherous operation as a truck driver, yes.
Danny, was there ever any talk similar to what Formula One does? Formula One flies their stuff around. Back when they first did this with the Xfinity, was there any talk of flying the stuff in there instead of going through this hazardous travel, or is the cost just too much?
I believe it comes into a cost factor. Formula One is a different era and different money. I don't think they have a problem spending $1 million to go to a race. So it comes back to logistics, the commonness of knowing that I have my trailer to work out of. Commonness of the parts available for you, that what you're going to need that weekend. And I think they're going to try and keep that much of a scenario alive just to put on a good show.
All right, Danny, we got about a minute left here. Getting into Mexico City, it's from what I've heard, it's a beautiful town, but being surrounded by mountains, it's one of the most toxic air quality indexes on Earth.
It is. It takes an adjustment go to. I've done some high elevation stuff here in Colorado, but you're looking at a 2-3 day adjustment just because of the elevation, and the pollution is strong. You can be a mile away from the downtown area and not see the buildings on some days.
Oh my God.
So it is a different country. It has different methods of operation, but yet 20-some, 9 million people live in that general area alone, and if you included the outskirts, it's, we're coming up with numbers of almost 40 million people. It's a big city.
It is. Well, I can see why NASCAR would like to go there and expand. On the other hand, is it really worth the logistics? Danny Eklund, thanks for being on with us and giving us a little update on how that's going. And we'll probably check back with you as we're getting closer and see what has changed in NASCAR's planning before they actually go all the way down there next season. Thanks for being on, bud.
Well, thank you. And you guys have a great weekend. Thank you.
Danny Eklund. We'll be back after these messages. Hang on.
Fall has arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
Race fans, the season is winding down, so you'll want to be at the Fair Park in Plymouth for the final two events. On Saturday, September 21st, the 7th annual Jim Wildman Watson Classic. Also, the AMODs, wingless sprints, and street stocks. Increased purses in all divisions. And we'll wrap it all up on Saturday, September 28th with the Wisconsin Sprint Car Championships. Non-stop action at the Fair Park. We'll see you there.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Ryan Radke here from Sunday Night Football on Westwood One. Mike Golick and I are set for Week 1 NFC action from Detroit when the Lions play host to the LA Rams. Matthew Stafford, Cooper Kupp, and the Rams saw their season end in a wild-card loss in Detroit last year. Can Jared Goff and the Lions get him again? Join us to find out on Sunday Night Football.
Coverage starts at 6:30 on Milwaukee's home for the NFL. 97.3 The Game.
Welcome back. We lost a former driver today. He's an IndyCar guy, but he did drive stock cars. Paul Goldsmith. You may not know the name, especially newer fans, but he was 98 years old. He was the oldest living Indianapolis. Was it winner or racer, Dan? I think he won at Indianapolis once, didn't he?
I'd have to look that up. I mean, I know he raced on the beach. He's one of the last guys to race on the beach at Daytona.
He was the last winner on the beach course for NASCAR. Yeah. Well, I guess what strikes home around Milwaukee is that he won the 1961 and 62 USAC Stock Car Championship, which made Milwaukee was a regular stop upwards of 3 times a year. They'd race at Milwaukee. So, but Paul Goldsmith was quite a name and was around a long time. And the longer he lived, he had more people love him. A little bit like me, I guess, right? But Goldsmith passing away this week. It's one of the talk about old school. This would be one of the names. And there are plenty of guys. He raced at Milwaukee so many years that there's people around that can say they raced against Paul Goldsmith. So that's we're going to miss him, and it's interesting that he passed away this week. The Xfinity Series raced at Atlanta. Austin Hill was your winner. What is it with Austin Hill at this race? They only led the last 12 laps, but once again, there he was.
He seems to find a way to get out front in these events and stay there. He's pretty good at blocking too, I think, and I think he benefits from people not working together. It seems to happen all the time. This happened this time with the Toyota teams. They're all mad at Corey Heim not working with the Gibbs cars, although Gibbs has never really done nothing for Corey Heim, so why should I help you kind of thing? And he went and pushed the other car to the win.
It's pretty amazing stuff. He certainly does get around this place, and you would think that Childress, he comes up with rides for guys. Austin Hill, if he's gonna, wherever the cash is coming from, you think they'd want to make this part of their regular schedule for that car.
I think he's got United Rentals money behind him. That's where a lot of his money comes from. And he has made several Cup starts over the year. It's just a matter of finding a spot for him to be a full-time Cup driver, especially if there's no charters available.
All right, so we've got a couple of minutes here. We've had some time to think about it, and we're going to come up with our 4 championship contenders. I would start this time with let's start with PJ this time. Who's your championship 4?
Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and Ryan Blaney.
So you have let's see, Chevy, Ford, Toyota. Okay. Let's go to Dan next.
I agree with PJ. It looks like we're on the same side here for this. I think Kyle Larson is he's your point leader right now. That's probably one of the fastest cars on raw speed so far this year. He should make it. Christopher Bell has been there 3 years in a row now. Everybody says it's a fluke, and it's not. So I think we're going to put him in the final 4. Tyler Reddick has had a great season as well. I think he's good enough to go, and I went with Ryan Blaney as well. Fords are peaking right now, and I needed to put a Ford there, and I think he's the best one.
Yeah, I think he's just a little too inconsistent. All right, Brian, you go ahead next.
I got Kyle Larson, obviously. I got Tyler Reddick, obviously. Those two have been the best all year. Then I got Denny Hamlin. I think it's time for him to get back there, and if he's going to win a title, this would be his chance to do it, and he may be extra inspired to do it. I know he likes to make a lot of mistakes, and that happens quite a bit, but I think this is the year he's going to get there. And then I got William Byron. Overall, all season, William Byron has been solid. Some of the tracks, as we get to the end of the year, are strong suit for him, so I see that. I don't have a Ford. I know the Fords are peaking, and I don't have Christopher Bell. But when you just look at it, every year there's locks that you think are going to be in there that don't show up, so this is the group I'm going with.
It's funny, you and PJ and Dan had the same 4, and I'm going to completely agree with you, Brian. Why are people overlooking William Byron? That is an absolutely stellar team. And, he won a bunch towards the beginning and then kind of leveled off, but that team is so good, and he is such an outstanding driver that I really think that he's going to be it. So, Larson, Byron, Reddick, Hamlin. And it's not that I like Hamlin. It's not that I want him to win. I think he may, make it to the final 4 and then just do what he usually does. Let mental quirks get in the way of a championship. Every year, Dan, it seems like something comes up that just takes him right out of it.
It seems like it, and now we got a big distraction with this charter agreement. He's part of the Jordan group, and they're not signing it. Is that going to be a distraction, or is that going to be motivation? Same with the 45 car. Part of me sometimes, there's a part of me that thinks, boy, if I had to find a silver lining in all this for NASCAR, this story every week in the playoffs of NASCAR versus Michael Jordan, and his driver advances through to the championship round as far as he can go. And were they going to take his charter next year because he didn't sign the agreement? Are they really going to do that to Michael Jordan? That kind of a story has a kind of pop that can knock some NFL headlines out of the front page for the playoffs. I think that's good for them that way. And who knows? Maybe in the end they'll all come together and sign it just for Phoenix, and we'll all be happy.
I love that.
We should hope.
I'd love to see Denny make it into the Final Four and have this still be on the table, because the Thursday media day could be very spicy if they're still arguing over this come that Thursday. And he's good for that, because 2 years ago he was very spicy there as well when they had the old Hail Melon deal.
Yeah, that was he had the biggest crowd around him, and because he's just not afraid to say what's on his mind ever, and to the detriment of NASCAR many times, and I'm pretty sure that they're not overly happy with that. On the other hand,
they love anybody talking about it, so they can say on the surface that they don't like it, but I think deep down they like it because it's putting the news out there and getting more ears and eyes on NASCAR.
Yep, the attention comes to NASCAR, and let's face it, with the NFL starting up, this is they really need the attention right now. And if you're going to do something to piss off Michael Jordan, that is going to make some headlines, and sooner or later, this is going to come up. It's Michael Jordan versus NASCAR. Watch, it's coming. It almost has to. And Jordan, don't think for 1 second, because he was the greatest basketball player that ever lived, that he's not a great businessman. If you've ever heard this guy talk business, you go, oh my God, this guy is a sharp son of a gun. And
I think he's pretty competitive too. I think it's, if you're going to get in a contest with him, be prepared to give it your all.
Be prepared is right. Yes. We're going to come back with some results and a bunch of good stuff. Hang in there.
The National Short Track Championships are coming to Dells Raceway Park September 13th, 14th, and 15th. The weekend will play host to 11 different divisions over 3 days of racing action, kicking off Friday night at 6:30, featuring super late model twin features, plus hobby stock Bandits and Sixers. The Saturday card will feature the Big 8 late models, Modified Sportsman, and American Short Trackers. Championship Sunday will feature the super late models in the Hugh Deary Classic 150, along with the 602 late models and the Mid-Am Stock Car Series. Get your advance tickets online now at DellsRacewayPark.com.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Fall has arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
This is The Herd.
Wow, 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 wow.
With Colin Cowherd.
The last time Aaron was truly great was 3 years ago. Here's what was happening in the NFL just 3 years ago. Trey Lance and Jimmy G were the Niners quarterbacks. The Lions were 3-13-1. Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler, and the Titans were the number 1 seed in the AFC. They're now lost as a franchise.
This is The Herd.
Weekdays 3 to 6 on the Big 920 and your iHeartRadio app.
LTN Hour presents Dirt on the Dirt with Brian Schmidt.
Most of the weekly racing has ended and wrapped up this time of the year, so now we head to the special point where a lot of the different tracks have specials. We'll start Monday, Sun Prairie, Wisconsin, Angel Park Speedway. The USAC National Midgets were there. Ken and McIntosh was your winner. The Badger Midgets also ran their feature, and Parker Jones got the win there. We moved to Wednesday, Rossburg, Ohio at the Eldora Speedway. Castrol Flow Racing Night in America. This was a makeup from a race that rained out back in June during the Dream Weekend. $20,000 to win. Jonathan Davenport grabbed the win. Thursday night, Fountain City, Wisconsin, the Mississippi Thunder Speedway, the USRA North Star Nationals. Night number 1, the USRA mods went to Joel Chisholm. Grand Forks, North Dakota, the River City Speedway, the Prelude to the Johnny. For the Wissota late models, Dustin Strand was your winner. The Wissota modifieds went to Tyler Peterson. Rossburg, Ohio, Thursday night. Night number 1 of the 54th Annual World 100. They ran twin 12,000 win features. Ryan Gustin and Hudson O'Neill were your winners there. Friday night, Fountain City. Night number 2 of the North Star Nationals. In the modifieds, Lucas Schott. And the limited late models was Brad Waits. Jim Falls, Wisconsin, Eagle Valley Speedway. In the modifieds, it was Nick Oreskovich. 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 There you go. He hasn't won much because I've never seen that one before. USRA Limited Lates went to Cade Nelson. Up at Superior, the Gondik Law Speedway, the IRA Sprint cars were up there. Danny Sams III from Florida made the trip up there and grabbed the win. Port Royal, Pennsylvania, the High Limit Sprint Car Series, the night before the 50, $10,000 to win. That went to Aaron Reitzel. Stockton, California, for the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series, Buddy Kofoid was your winner. And night number 2 in Rossburg, Ohio, for the 54th World 100, another pair of 12,000 to win features for the 106 cars that showed up. Jonathan Davenport and Hudson O'Neill were your winners. Last night, the final night on the North Star Nationals at Mississippi Thunder Speedway, Keith Foss was your winner in the modifieds, and the limited lates went to Brad Waits. Eagle River wrapped up their season, and the limited lates went to Jesse Aho, and the stock cars was Jason Zadroik. The Richmond was Aho. A-H-O. He's been racing a long time. We raced with him back in the day when he ran late models back in the Wissota days. In Richmond, Wisconsin, the Jerry Reichert Memorial for the IRA Sprint Cars, $7,500 to win. Danny Sams III made it a clean sweep of the weekend, winning that one. Superior Gondik Law Speedway for the Northern Nationals for the Wissota late models. Ashley Anderson was your winner. The modifieds went to Mike Anderson. I don't believe they're related. Boone, Iowa, the IMCA Super Nationals. They raced all week to narrow it down to a full field of 30 cars each in the modifieds. Dylan Thornton was your... What's that?
So many cars. Unbelievable.
Yeah, not quite as high. They're in the 200s this year. Usually they're in the upper 300s, so a little lighter on cars, but still tons and tons and tons of racing. Dylan Thornton won the modified feature event there, and the stock cars went to Kelly Shryock. No real Wisconsin guys in the running this year. Usually we have guys that are right up there in the front, but scanning through the results, none of them really stuck out to me as top 10 contenders this year. Grand Forks, North Dakota, the 18th annual John Seitz Memorial, $9,200 to win for the Wissota late models. Cole Searing was your winner. Texarkana, Arkansas, the 67 Speedway for the USAC Amsoil National Sprint Cars. Brady Bacon was your winner. Out in Hanford, California, the Kings Speedway for the World of Outlaw NOS Engineering Sprint Car Series. Tom Tarleton Classic, $21,000 to win. That went to Carson Macedo. Port Royal, Pennsylvania, the High Limit Sprint Car Series, the Tuscarora 50, $57,000 to win for the 410 Sprints. Rico Abreu continued his stellar season, I would say. He's got a lot of wins. And finally, the granddaddy of them all down in Eldora Speedway, the largest crowd in the history of Eldora. They quit selling pit passes. They didn't let anybody else into the property because the place was so full. I would say that had been upwards of 35,000 people there for that. For the 54th World 100, $57,000 to win. And Bobby Pierce got by Dale McDowell with about 5 laps to go. And if Dale McDowell would have won that race, I think they would have tore it down because Dale McDowell drives a Bloomquist car. They had the Bloomquist salute to life or celebration of life earlier in the afternoon. I mean, it would have been quite the thing, but his car, just lap traffic, got in the way of Dale McDowell, and he said there's nothing he can do about it in the post-race presser. He said he got so tight when he got up on top, but Bobby Pierce grabbed his second one. His first win came in 2016, so it had been that many years.
It was actually a race. It was actually a really good race. I went to Bergen last night, and I was going to get food because it was late at night, and I was still hungry, and I actually had to pull over and watch it in the parking lot because I got to see this. I had it on through the car speakers.
Yeah, Jonathan Davenport got out front, and people probably thought this was it. It's going to be over because he's been so dominant there. And both McDowell and Pierce got by him at the end. Davenport ended up third, but a great event out there and a massive crowd. I think the 50-50 winner brought home like $117,000 or something like that. Crazy money to wrap it up. So that is everything for this week.
All right. On to the asphalt. Last Sunday at Slinger, late models were in action. Ryan Gutnick was your winner. The championship for that division will be settled tonight. Super late, Steve Apel was the winner.
This afternoon, actually. It's a 2 o'clock start. Yeah. Sorry.
Super late models. It was Steve Apel taking the checkers, and Alex Prunty is your champion for the supers. Anything more you want to add on Sunday?
No, it was some pretty good racing, and going in, it did take care of the super late model championship, but we've got 4 championships this afternoon. Late models Bs, the 602 Craters, and the figure 8s are all going to determine their champions.
I'm going to say we had 7 super late races this year because we had one right now, and we had 7 different winners.
How about that?
Parity, they call that. On Labor Day, Monday, there was action at Golden Sands Speedway for the Tundra Super Late Models, the Cleaver Classic. Justin Mondyke took the win in that, and your Rookie of the Year and champion was Ty Fredrickson. Kendrick Cryer, Triple Crown champion, he won the late models there. And then last night, the UARA National Series at the Freedom Factory, Johnny Sauter in the Richie Waters prepared car was your fast time and your winner. And that was a very emotional win for them. And now he's going to be up at Slinger today racing with his son Penn. Dells Raceway Park last night, late models in action. Weston Marthaler was the winner, and your champion is Mike Litchfield. Modifieds, Matt Pates, champion and winner last night. And then at Jefferson Speedway, Steven Scheel was the late model winner, and Sean Scheel, the champion.
Wow, the Scheel brothers. How about that? That's totally cool. PJ, I don't know if you knew this. You may not have. But that Freedom Factory race that Johnny Sauter won yesterday was a tribute race for Bobby Gill. You may know the name. He raced against Rich Pickle and a bunch of those guys over the years, and Scott Hansen and whatnot. He is hurting right now. I think he's near death.
It's got glioblastoma brain cancer, which is one of the worst.
Yeah, it is. There's no coming back from that one. So he doesn't have a lot of time left. And it was a nice tribute to him last night at the Freedom Factory. And then Johnny Sauter goes down there and kicked him around. I loved it. It was, and I am sitting in the stands watching the racing at the Dells, watching Johnny Sauter win at the Freedom Factory down in Florida as his son Penn is getting ready to come out and race in the late model feature last night at the Dells. So quite a day all around. We'll come back with you after these.
Race fans, the season is winding down, so you'll want to be at the Fair Park in Plymouth for the final two events. On Saturday, September 21st, the 7th annual Jim Wildman Watson Classic. Also, the AMODs, wingless sprints, and street stocks. Increased purses in all divisions. And we'll wrap it all up on Saturday, September 28th with the Wisconsin Sprint Car Championships. Non-stop action at the Fair Park. We'll see you there.
Miller Sales and Service of Random Lake is where to go for a trailer, no matter what you're hauling. Tom and Jerry Miller have been selling trailers from B&B, Trophy, and Bravo for over 50 years. Quality and integrity is what put them on the map on the corner of 57 and K since 1939. Home of the number 89 dirt and asphalt cars of Brad Miller. That's Miller Sales and Service. It's where to go for a trailer, just 20 minutes north of Milwaukee. Call them 920-994-4358.
Fall has arrived, but there's still time to get your landscaping complete before the snow flies. And PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend has everything you need with fresh mulch arriving daily. From premium hardwood mulch to hemlock and pine bark to EnviroMulch in red, gold, chocolate brown, and black colors. PMF also has a large variety of decorative stone and granite, as well as field stone, topsoil, and compost. For all your landscaping needs, visit PMF Landscape Supply, 5470 River Road in West Bend. Call 262-338-8800 or visit pmflandscape.com. Friends of racing for many years. PMF Landscape Supply in West Bend.
This is Kevin Harlan from Monday Night Football on Westwood One. Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner and I will wrap up NFL Week 1 action with the Jets at the 49ers. New York awaits the return of Aaron Rodgers at quarterback, while the 49ers hope to kick off a season headed back to the Super Bowl. Join us on Monday Night Football.
Coverage starts at 7 o'clock on Milwaukee's home for the NFL. 97.3 The Game.
Some news from Wisconsin short track racer Justin Mondyke. He seems to have won championships up at State Park Speedway, I think it was, in Wausau, right? Didn't he win a couple championships up there?
Yes, he did.
In fact, he actually raced for Toby for some time. Got himself into a truck ride, just 2 events apparently, but Young's Motorsport, it's the one with that real funny font on the numbers, the 02 and the 12. I don't think they're a front-running truck, are they? Have they ever won anything?
They won at Talladega once. I forgot who that was that drove that truck to win. It was the same weekend that the Let's Go Brandon thing happened in the Xfinity Series.
Ah.
I forgot who was even in that truck that time.
Well, he's going to have a chance to show himself a little bit in a truck. So nice, one of our local guys taking the next step. All right, we've got a race today at Atlanta. It's very, very fast. It's a little bit like a crapshoot type of a race that even Harry Burton could win, or Cindric, or some of these other guys. And so I know who I'm picking, but I think I'm going to save it. Let's see. Let's start today with Brian. We don't usually start with Brian. We'll see what he takes.
Well, interesting race here, but I'm going to take Joey Logano in the 22 car to punch his ticket into round number 2.
Okay, let's go to PJ next.
Ryan Blaney.
Okay, Dano?
We think alike, PJ. I got him in my final 4. He's got to get the next round. 4s have won the last, 2 or 3 races in a row? Let's keep the streak going, Ryan Blaney.
All right, and I am taking a guy that is so motivated right now to win one before this season is over that he's going to steal the headlines from the first round of the playoffs, and I'm going with Rowdy in the 8 car to win it today. He's been knocking on the door. He's been right there. He's been making Childress look better than they actually are, which is, I think, why he got hired in the first place to drive that car. And so, this would be the day for it. Just a little something to NASCAR would. I'm not positive they would really like that, but hey, it doesn't really matter. So it's been a crazy week, guys. A very crazy week with this ultimatum. I wonder where the words actually come from. Are it people that have problem with NASCAR that are coming out and whispering in the press's ear? They issued us an ultimatum. If we don't ratify it, there's a chance that they'll revoke our charters and all that, and coerced and threatened. Don't you think
would
those
they
are
actually do it? I wonder. Maybe if they may have suggested that, but would they actually do it? A lot of them probably just thought, is it worth? Think of the mess it's going to cause if nobody signed that crazy. Maybe it's just not worth, going to war for. You choose your battles, and maybe that wasn't one to fight right now. But we'll see. Jordan held out, and we can see how this.
And going to war with Michael Jordan, how great that was going to be having him in NASCAR. And do you really want to go to war with that guy? That's how they're lined themselves up right now. Careful what you do or say, because you're talking about a guy that is more popular than your sport itself. Think about that. It's crazy stuff. So I just how NASCAR gets themselves into these things sometimes. Do it. Or can you imagine Bill France Jr. having a deal with what amounts to a union these days?
We wouldn't have one.
Right.
They tried it in, was it 69 Talladega 500, the PDA, the Professional Drivers Association. Richard Petty ran that, and he was the most popular guy, and they couldn't win. He just didn't, Francis didn't acknowledge them and said, you want to leave, go ahead. And I think,
we're still having a race.
Right, they boycotted that race, and I thought there were reports that said, you come to my race, I'll give you free admission to the Daytona 500 in 1970. So fans still came. They have a way to do things.
Yeah, well, what kind of show? Hamlin actually said it right. People don't come out to watch cars go in circles, and if you don't believe that, then go to an ARCA race sometimes, because nobody in the stands. It's about the names of the drivers and the talent level of the drivers. And so, yeah, I have to agree with Denny Hamlin. I find myself hard to admit stuff like that.
That's what you love about Denny Hamlin.
It's what he says, though, while it makes sense on its face, it's watered down with as much manipulation that's being done by NASCAR with the bodies. It used to be great in the day when they could all innovate and do things, but there is none of that these days.
Yeah, innovation. Remember innovation? We don't like innovation. We're taking that away.
And I agree, drivers sell tickets and talent in that way, but so do media stories, too. And having that Jordan versus NASCAR every week in the playoffs, what happened with Tyler Reddick? Did he win this week? Will he advance? Well, they may take his whole charter at the end of the year. And Bubba Wallace doesn't have a job next year because it's getting held up because they may take his charter. That'll drive viewers and people.
And who's the David and who's the Goliath in that story, right?
Yeah. Can you imagine if the Alliance just decided to say, we're going to take this week off. I know you have a race scheduled for us, but we're going to go and race at, Pikes Peak, and then we're going to fill the place up and put 36 of the best drivers in NASCAR out there. I don't think they could do what they did at Talladega years ago and just, find enough guys and enough cars to put a race on for NASCAR. So NASCAR has to work with them. Imagine that. Thanks so much for tuning in. We do appreciate it. Let's hope for a good, safe race today at Atlanta. 2:11 Central Time on USA. And as we like to remind people, real race cars have doors, even if they do climb in through the windows. Let's Talk NASCAR is produced and directed by Dangerous Dan Margetta. Our engineer is Matt Losi. And for the entire crew, we appreciate you tuning in every week. And we'll see you next week, everybody.
This program has come to you live from multiple locations via Skype. Any and all comments expressed on this show do not necessarily express the opinions of this station, its employees, or advertisers. Your comments are always welcome at mail@ltnradionetwork.com. Find us at facebook.com/LTN Radio Network. And thank you for your support since 1985. Tune in again next Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Central Time for the LTN Hour on the LTN Radio Network.